Hey, you guys. I just made it like really quick, like the other day.
Yeah, let's go.
But yeah, I was debating. I was just kind of, this is how I overthink everything. I was like, should I do the matinee intro and then that, or just that?
No, just that.
And then I was like, well, I think we'll just do just that because everybody's like familiar.
I don't know
with
anything about that.
because it already says 13 o'clock matinee presents.
Yeah.
Cape guy said, "Damn, you guys are prompt." Well, that's just because we're like sitting here looking at the clock.
In the final minute, so we're waiting. What are you guys doing when? Because I was looking at everybody going in. Do you guys sit there and just listen to the damn music, the boom, doom? Because sometimes I do that with some of the people I listen to.
It is kind of relaxing,
and they're kind of like intro music. The waiting music starts to become kind of like part of your daily routine to hear that shit. I don't know why. It just kind of does. You get into a routine pretty quick. But no, that was a good intro. I liked that one. That's the first time I'd seen that. She just whipped that up.
I just made that like a couple days ago. Yeah. Because remember I said because we first just started doing this like last Monday, and then I was like, ooh, I should make a little intro for that, and then like I made it in like seriously 5 minutes, like on Canva or some shit.
I fucking got that lawnmower delivered today. I had to bust it. It was up on a pallet. I couldn't get it off the pallet. I had to break the pallet apart. That's okay. Got it all. It came with oil in it and everything, ready to go.
Well, that's good.
Told me it's just starter oil, this and that, but the owner's manual says it comes with summer weight oil. Just check it. If it's good, then run it. So I'm just running the fucking Husqvarna oil that they gave me, and that was a good mower, man. It's fun. Big ass like tractor, big orange Husqvarna mower, tight, fucking turns tight. Looks like a damn tractor. I'm driving that shit around. Fucking people, neighbors going by, waving, going, yeah, cut that shit. You know, fucking, I know what they're playing. Lawn crews going by, looking at me, going, oh, you bought that piece of shit? Okay. You know, just got to drive it. It was good. Didn't take long. Now I got to trim the hedges tomorrow.
Oh, well.
But got to do shirts tonight, send out 3 shirts. And, we can mail out. We're ready to mail out, right? Weigh and mail out right from the house?
Yeah, I got boxes. I got envelopes. I got everything. Okay. I got paper. I got all kind of shit.
Okay, I'll do the shirts and we'll send them out. Send them out tomorrow.
And now, Camp Guy, you said you wanted 2 extra ones, but I don't remember if you sent another super chat or not. So
yeah, he just said
he paid for 2 of them.
And then
he was like 2 more. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think the 2 that he said initially were the Canon one and the Pliskin one.
Okay.
And then
he paid for those.
And then Next Dimension Media, they wanted a Canon one.
Okay.
But yeah.
So I'll only be making those 3.
Make those 3 tonight, and then I'll get them sent off tomorrow.
Okay.
Zach says, I swear with a haunting, you could take the title from any episode and switch them around and lose nothing. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's like a generator.
I kind of feel like, those little like refrigerator poem magnets where it's just like words and you can like move them around and stuff. Yeah. I kind of feel like they maybe have that in the haunting writer's room.
Where the lurking dwells.
Where the dwelling lurks.
Where the dwelling lurks. So it lurks and it dwells, yes, simultaneously.
Sure. I mean, you can dwell and lurk at the same time. Those are not mutually exclusive. The weird thing about it is that while I was researching this episode, I also discovered that I'm not sure if this is like in other countries or if it's just like an optional, like an alternate title, but I saw that this episode was also called Hearing the Dead sometimes.
Okay, that's not what it was labeled.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, most places say it's called Where Evil Lurks, but I don't know if maybe it's called Hearing the Dead, like maybe in the UK. I don't really know. But yeah, I just noticed that it was called that on some platforms.
Wonder why they would change the name of that episode. Doesn't maybe because it's the name of something else that's copyrighted in that country? Maybe a movie. That's
what I mean. Yeah, that's generally the only reason to change something that innocuous is just like if there's already something and they don't want to get sued.
Somebody's named that already. Let's see how everybody's doing.
Veronica said, I think there's a new season of A Haunting out that started in late 2021. I had heard that it was coming back. John Smith said, I'm making hot chocolate. I'm not rock and roll. Oh, man, that sounds good.
Okay.
You know what? Next time I go to the Dollar General, I should get another pack of hot chocolate. Because I had like a big pack of it, but I used it all up because I love hot chocolate.
I got a whole thing of Quick downstairs.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
5 pounds of Quick.
I didn't know that was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not with water, though.
Yeah,
like you have...
well, I have the powdered milk.
Oh.
I got all that Nido. And I also have powdered creamer, lots of it.
I mean, it's easier to just have the pack that already has the milk and the
So you just
thing
want to
in
roll.
it.
You want convenience food.
Well, yeah, duh.
Okay, all right.
I just want to make it over there,
Yeah.
like, and heat up the water in my coffee pot. I don't want it to go downstairs.
I bought a gallon. I bought a gallon of the Arizona iced tea. It came in a big old gallon. And after I got done with it, it was only like $1 or something. After I got done with it, I was like, man, that jug that this came in is worth about $2. If you'd bought it just without any label on it, you know what I mean? Like Tupperware says that's. So I said, fuck it. I put it in the dishwasher and washed it. I've been making tea in it.
Yeah.
It's good too. Good tea.
That is good tea. I've already
Yeah.
drank like 2 glasses of it though, so I don't want to drink anymore.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's got like, well, he was using up all the tea bags from the house.
I have all these tea bags.
So like some of them are peach and some of them are
Yeah.
cinnamon, but it works.
Yeah, I mixed them right. Mixed them right and everything, and did it in the water boiler, you know, from the teapot, the electric teapot. Did it in there, and then just stuck a funnel in that clean Arizona iced tea container and filled it right back up. Got saccharin in there, which try to keep the calories low.
Yeah,
And it says and it's printed Arizona iced tea, like in color. It's not a sticker. You know, it's like embossed in there somehow. That looks classy. That's not Arizona. That's my iced tea.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think I think it was the Diet Arizona. Did
It was
we get
the Diet Arizona iced tea. Yeah.
Zach says we're the lurking evils.
Yeah.
See, so many titles. They only need like 3 words, and they just switch them around, and already they've got like 6 titles for some of these.
Yeah.
That's why. Well, see, that's why I can't remember. Whenever somebody says, because a lot of people said, "Hey, do Where Evil Lurks," and I was kind of like, I don't even remember which one that is. So I had to like go look it up because they're not, other than the handful that actually had like the location in it, like A Haunting in Georgia or whatever. Yeah, the other ones are just like completely. And I remember Demon Child because Man Said I Could, and because of that horrible kid that tried to sit on the kitty cat.
Camp guys talking about making sun tea. Just put it in there and put it out of the sun.
I remember you used to do that in the 70s.
You can't do that anymore. People have gotten really sick because
it's
people are running around on top of those tea leaves and over in India and shit, and people are fucking taking piss on them and stuff, and then you got to have boiled water to help sanitize it. Those tea leaves are not guaranteed to be clean. And there's also things like rats and mice have run across those things sometimes long before they ever get to the tea factory. Like out there in the farm where they're growing it. Sanitation isn't all that good out there. So, no, man, boil the water. Don't let it sun tea. You get fucking, what do they call that shit? Oh, shit, what's the name of that? Not schistosomiasis. I forgot the name of it.
Salmonella?
Salmonella, I think is what it was. I think it might have been salmonella.
I mean, maybe. Salmonella with an E, not with an E.
You can get real fucking sick from it.
Yeah, Veronica says, Google says season 11 started on December 31st, 2021 on Discovery Plus. There you go.
I got 11 seasons. We missed a bunch of seasons. They started to suck, but we'll look at them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have Discovery Plus, but I don't think it's that expensive. I think, can't you get it like as an add-on? Maybe I can get it on as an add-on for Hulu or
Amazon, maybe.
Or Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's just like another couple of bucks or something.
Yeah, because I got an add-on for the British one.
Yeah, you got BritBox, and that's only a couple bucks. But Hulu has a bunch of add-ons too. Like some of them I got for free. Like I got HBO Max for free because of my phone plan. Like you got it for free for that. So yeah,
okay,
season
we got
11.
a big enough crowd. Let's go ahead and start it.
All right. Down the Bomb said there's a new BTK documentary on Netflix about the cops who cracked the case. That actually might be good.
All right.
Yeah, so this one's called Where Evil Lurks. I almost said Where Evil Dwells again because now you're confusing me.
Yeah,
but it's like I said, like they're all interchangeable. But this is called Where Evil Lurks, or sometimes Hearing the Dead, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense actually.
It does. Well, it's more specific.
Yeah, more specific because the little boy kept hearing the children started to hear dead people trying to talk over each other.
Yeah.
Scaring them. I don't think the adults ever heard that, did they?
I don't know. It's not real clear. Now, I will say that this had less outside stuff than the last episode we talked about, but I did find a couple of things.
Oh, you mean there's less info on it?
Yeah, I did find like a little bit of like a diary / blog that the mom had written, Jamie Shea, like right around when they were filming this show.
Okay.
And also there was an article in the Arkansas Democrat, Gazette? Yeah, the name of that newspaper. And there was an article about, like, it came out in October of 2007, which I think was about a month after this aired. And it was like a ghost hunter who interviewed the woman, the mom, and then she went there and, like, stayed in the house, like, to see if she could find it. So, like, ghost hunters went there.
All right.
So there was that.
So you got all that. You read all that.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, Dave, what's up? Here on a Monday. It's Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, here on a Monday. So that's unusual. But yeah, a lot of people seem to like these haunting ones. So like I said, we're going to start doing them every Monday now. So basically this is about the Shea family. Now, they move into a house in central Arkansas. Interestingly, one thing I did find out was that the show actually says, pretty sure he says Markham, Arkansas.
Yeah.
That town does not exist as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Where it is actually is in Lamar, Arkansas. That's where the house is. The house they used for the show is near where the real one is, but is not the exact one. So they did do another like they did with a haunting in Florida, where they used a house that was nearby but is not the actual house. But yeah, so it's actually in Lamar, and Lamar is not a real big town from at least from its Wikipedia page, what I could determine. So if you wanted to find it, you probably could, but I'm not telling you to do that. Okay, so here's how the episode goes. So they move into this house, and they love it because it's like super old. I think like the original part of it was built like in the 1780s, I want to say, and then it was added onto like in the 1800s. And they said it was in remarkably good shape for how old it was. So I guess it had been kept up. And it ended up being like the location being really good because I think it was halfway between the husband, whose name was Ben, and it's like halfway between his work and his school. Because he was like working as a nurse at night, and then he was going to school in the day still. And then she had a job too. Now they had like a nanny or babysitter who came and like looked after the kids because they had 3 kids, like a teenage-ish girl or a tween. Her name was Tori. And then they had a kid named Bridger, which is a weird name. The kid was like 7 or 8. And then they had like a baby or a toddler named Jackson, who was like, still a baby, still in a crib. So they move in, and pretty much the first thing that happens, and this is one of the unusual episodes, even though it has some of the haunting tropes. The dad works at night, so the mom and kids are always there at night by themselves. That's always important. But this one kind of like bucks the trend of having the wife and kids be the first ones to see the ghosts, and then the dad doesn't believe them. Actually, the dad sees the first thing, or hears the first thing.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's pretty much on board from the beginning, which is nice to see. And actually, they had like him talking on there, and he seemed like a nice man. Actually, they both seemed like nice people. I don't know if they're full of crap or not, but they seemed nice enough.
Yeah, and the actor they got playing the guy does look a lot like him.
He does, actually. They did a pretty good job. Yeah. They did a pretty good job with that. But he does seem like a nice man. So basically, I think the first thing that happens, so like I said, they get this babysitter, and so she stays in the house during the day, and the dad, Ben, he's works all night, and then he comes and then he sleeps until like 2 p.m, and then he goes to class. So he's sleeping in the house, and they have a baby monitor, and the baby monitor comes on, and he hears what he thinks is the baby, Jackson, crying. And he's like wigging out because he's like, God damn it, like whatever I can't remember what the babysitter's name was, but she's like, get the baby. You're supposed to like keep the baby from making noise so the dude could sleep or whatever. And then he gets up and he goes all around the house. The baby's not in the crib. He's like, where the fuck is everybody? And he's like calling, there's nobody home. The babysitter has actually taken the baby shopping, so the baby isn't even in the house. And Ben hears a baby crying on the baby monitor. So that's a little weird. Now, this, I think, is the first thing that happened, so he doesn't really tell anybody.
Yeah, he goes in there, and the baby wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lady had taken him shopping.
That would freak me out.
That is pretty freaky.
And it showed pretty well. They portrayed it pretty. It was spooky in the episode.
This was actually a good episode.
Yeah,
I forgot how good
episode.
this one was. So it was like that was a good recommendation.
Real good recommendation. I mean, as far as just the episode, it's on par with like the original, maybe a little bit better of Amityville Horror, maybe. More happened in Amityville, but the suspense is about like Amityville. I liked it.
Yeah.
A lot more artistic than Amityville. You go back and watch Amityville, man, it's fucking really basic bitch fucking movie, but it's kind of a testament to how good this old series was.
And this
you
one,
watch it.
This one is
a horror movie.
This one is also from season 4, just like the last one we did. This is season 4, episode 6. I think, in case I didn't mention that.
Strong. I like season 1, but season 4 was strong. Yeah,
there's a lot of good ones in season 4, actually. So now we could say, like I said, he didn't really want to tell anybody. I mean, it'd be freaky, but you could probably, if that was the only thing that happened, you could probably like write it off as saying, oh, maybe you're picking up interference from some other baby monitor. It does happen. Like you can pick up radio stations and shit like that, like with the monitor. So some things do come out on that. So he didn't tell anybody about it, right? So they just, I don't know how long it was after they moved in. Now, the next thing that happens, at least on the show, is that the kid, the boy, Bridger, he starts hearing people talking in his room. What he says sound like he can't tell what they're saying, and it sounds like just a bunch of people talking over each other, and it's kind of like freaking him out.
That'd be spooky.
Yeah, and apparently the older sister, Tori, she hears it too. Although, again, she doesn't tell the little kid because she doesn't want to scare him. But this one particular night, at least on the reenactment, so he keeps hearing that, and he runs into his mom's room. He's like, hey, Mom, can I, like, sleep in here with you? Because I keep hearing all these voices. And she's like, yeah, fine. Now, Tori wakes up, too, and hears all of Bridger's toys, like they're all on. Like, little robots and, like, sirens and all that kind of shit. And she's like, what the fuck is that kid doing? She doesn't say that. She's, like, 12 years old. But she's like, what the fuck is that kid doing in there? So she goes down the hall and is like, hey, turn your toys off. And the kid's not in there because obviously he went into the room and slept with his mom. So she's like, okay, so all the toys are like moving around by themselves. So it's a little creepy. So then some amount of time later, Jamie, the mom, she hears what sounds like the kids running up and down the stairs. And actually in the real thing that she wrote, she said, yeah, she used to hear that all the time. It sounded like it running up and down the stairs or on the upstairs hallway. But then when she looks, no one is there and they're all asleep and snoring. She comes back down to the kitchen and the kitchen door apparently slams closed by itself, which startles her, and then like creaks back open again by itself. And she doesn't see anybody. Now, at this point, Tori, I guess, tells the mom, hey, I heard the baby on the baby monitor when the baby wasn't here. And so Jamie tells her husband that, Ben, and he admits finally, he's like, yeah, I heard that shit too. That's pretty weird. And then, like, while they're talking about that, they both hear something that sounds like, she said it sounded like a rubber ball bouncing down the stairs, very The Changeling. And he hears it too, apparently. So, again, they think it's the kids. Like, what the fuck are those kids doing? It's late at night. But they go up and, again, they're all asleep. So at this point, and I think Jamie said, too, that she always felt, like, weirded out, like, watched, oppressed, that kind of thing. So it wasn't just these couple little things, apparently. So they both are kind of like, well, maybe the shit's haunted. You know what I mean? And like I said, I kind of like... Because I kind of get annoyed with the trope of... the wife and kids seeing all the ghostly shit and then the husband being like, you guys are crazy. There's nothing going on. So I like that they kind of like inverted it with this one where he's basically like, yeah, this shit's haunted. We like need to do something about it.
You saw Dave Parker was in, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I said about it. Zach says, you guys, I just finished a load of laundry and I'm pretty sure I forgot to put the detergent in.
Just do it again.
I think I might have done that once, maybe once. I forget to put fabric softener in a lot, but I don't really care that much about fabric softener.
Yeah, fabric softener doesn't make that.
It doesn't really make it, and it's all like goopy anyway. So
for what we own, it doesn't make a big difference.
Yeah, I don't really care that much about it. But yeah. So at this point, Jamie goes to the local library and starts checking out a bunch of books about ghosts. Now, while she's checking it out, like the nosy old lady, who's the not even the one that's checking her out, but the one like next to her. she kind of like glances over like, hey, what are you checking out? I'm like, God, nosy, like none of your business. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so she comes over and she's like, I couldn't help but noticing all of these books you're checking out. You know, I used to live in a haunted house and it was super creepy and blah, blah, blah. And so then they talk and it turns out it's the same house. Like the older, I mean, this is a small town, like I said. So the old librarian, I guess she grew up in the house where the Shea family lives now. And she said, yeah, it was totally haunted. There was a little boy that, like the ghost of a little boy that was there. And they said, well, what happened was like a long time ago, this little boy like fell out of one of the upstairs windows and died. And I guess he haunts the place now.
Okay, now, out of this episode, this is the only thing that kind of struck me as real odd. She's at the library checking out books about supernaturals and hauntings, and then the librarian says, you know, I grew up in a haunted house, and then names the house that she's living in now. It must be a real small town.
Well, the actual town of Lamar, I looked it up on Wikipedia because I was trying to figure out where this actually was, because I know sometimes they change the name of the town, which they did on this as well. And actually, a lot of the scenes they showed of Arkansas were actually like Little Rock. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're not the town that this is in. The town apparently it's only about 1,000 people, maybe like a little bit more. So that's like a pretty small town. Although I think it is part of like a larger metropolitan area. Yeah. So it might be like a suburb type situation. But within the bounds of Lamar, it's only about 1,000 people.
Did anybody
like
confirm that part of the story?
Not that I saw. Like nobody, like I said, I looked pretty hard like to see if there was, because I guess we lucked out with the last episode that the lady that had been at the center of the last one, what was it called? Dark Wrath or whatever.
They're all
Dark Wrath, I think was the name of it. That she had actually written a book about her experiences, and there was like a lot of information about that book, and like I could read some of it online. But this one, not so much. There was like I said, there was one article, and the lady, the mom, she had written like a little like a diary blog post. It was like pretty short, like when this came out. But that was pretty much all that I found out about this place otherwise. So, you know, it's just, like I said, it does seem really weird that, like, you'd be at the library checking books out, and then somebody would come over and be like, hey, you know, I used to live in a haunted house. But then, I mean, you'd have to talk for a little while before it would come to light that it was a haunted house. You know what I mean? Well, because I think they showed that in the show, because I think she said, oh, I used to live in a haunted house. She said, oh, is it around here?
Yeah. And he goes, yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, it's this really old house. Because I guess in the town, it was kind of like a well-known-ish kind of house, because it was really old. Yeah. Like, it was one of the older ones that was still standing in that area, I think. So maybe that's why, like, it was real distinctive.
Yeah, she knew what was haunting it and everything, or what she thought she did. She thought it was the ghost of the little boy.
Because she said she grew up there, and, like, that it was a little boy.
Yeah.
So
that's weird. That would have freaked me out.
Yeah, that would be pretty weird if that really happened in real life. Like, yeah, I would be freaked out.
And we can't confirm that. There's not enough data online, but if that's what the story says, that's what it says. You know? Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just saying what was on the episode, and then
plausible. Probably a smaller town, and you know what I mean. So
yeah,
odds are you're going to run into people who lived in there for a long time and lived in several houses, and she put two and two together, saw her checking out books on the paranormal, says, yeah, I lived in a haunted house. You know, she gives the address that's the one that she's living in, the other girl's living in. That's weird.
Yeah, that would be pretty weird.
Yeah.
So, little boy fell out a window and blah, blah, blah. So, Jamie kind of, like, asked the library lady, she's like, well, did it hurt anybody? And the lady's like, no, I never, you know, it was creepy, but, like, she's like, he never hurt anybody. So Jamie gets home and says to Ben, hey, I ran into this lady at the library. She used to live here, and she said, like, who the ghost was, and she said it never hurt anybody. So Ben's like, well, that's okay then. It's like, I think we can live with that if it's just, like, the harmless little boy ghost. So, you know, they decide they're just going to continue on from there. But then, while she's at home, and I guess Ben is at work or at class, she's in her office, and she said that she felt like this presence behind her, and then she sees this evil, demon-y fella reflected in her computer monitor. Like, she sees it, and then, like, she turns around, and it's gone, right? This wigs her out, as it would, and so she calls Ben at work, and he comes home early. Now, at this point, I don't know how much longer, like how much later this was, but Jamie goes back to the library looking for that woman again. But this really, like, the other bitchy woman at the library, I'm sure she wouldn't be bitchy in real life, but she's basically like, oh, she doesn't work here anymore. And Jamie's like, well, do you know where she went, or did she move away, or what the fuck? And the lady's like, well, I can't give you that information. You know what I mean? She's like real twatty about it. So Jamie's like, well, gee, thanks for nothing, bitch, kind of thing. She didn't say that, but you know what I mean? That's what she was thinking.
Murder Hornet's in there complaining he had to throw all his 13 o'clock shirts away, or a lot of them, because he's spilling bleach on them. What the fuck you doing using bleach? Don't use bleach. I don't use bleach on anything. Maybe sheets. It's just
the only thing I ever bleach is kitchen towels.
Yeah, I don't fucking bleach things.
Like those wet kitchen towels.
White kitchen towels.
I bleach
like your
those.
clean-up towels and white sheets, if you have white sheets.
We have one set of white sheets and one set of bleach
Don't
sheets.
fucking bleach away. You don't need bleach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good for other things. But like I said, it's good for if you have white kitchen towels. You can bleach those. But that's all we use it for. But yeah, so the lady's gone, which, like I said, that's a little bit of a plot thread they left dangling there. It's like, what happened to the library lady? Like, why did she take off? I don't know. You'd think that she would at least want to, like, check back in with after they had this heart-to-heart conversation about this haunted house, you'd think, but no. So she's never mentioned again. Now, a bit later, this is pretty horrifying, okay? Then this apparently really happened. So a bit later, like I said, I don't know how much later this was. Jamie is driving somewhere with Tori in the car, and Tori is in the back seat, and I guess they're coming from, like, she picked her from school or something like that, and they're in a horrible, horrible car accident. Now, the reenactment, I don't know if this is true, because I don't remember if she said this out loud, but the reenactment showed that she saw, like, the evil demon-y fella in the street. Like, it was a construction zone. Like, there was cones and shit everywhere. And she supposedly, like, saw this demon-y thing in front of the car, and it caused her to, like, lose control of the car. Tori, the daughter, who I think was, how old was she at the time? She looked like 11 or 12.
Yeah, I'd say that. 10, maybe.
Yeah, and so apparently the Tori was pinned underneath the car, which I think was an SUV. Didn't she say it was an SUV? Yeah. She was, like, pinned under the car and ended up breaking her back in 3 places.
Yeah, but didn't paralyze her, luckily.
Yeah, I mean, it must have broke just right, because man, that could have gone really wrong. Yep. Well, now at first, like, they aren't actually sure if the girl's gonna make it, and then after, like, she's like, well, she does pull through, but now it's like we're not sure if she's ever gonna walk again. But they're like, okay, well, maybe she'll be okay. Eventually, but she's in the hospital, they said, for 2 or 3 weeks or something like that, and then they send her home, but she's going to be bedridden for like 6 months or something like that. She does eventually recover, so, she could walk again and stuff, but she was very, very lucky, which they actually said on there. But yeah, she broke her back in 3 places. That's pretty fucked up. So she's kind of like has to sleep in the living room. They said that this happened like not too long before Christmas time. So they said it was kind of a shitty Christmas because they had already bought Tori like a scooter, and obviously she can't use it now because she can't walk, at least for a short time. So she was just kind of like, gee, thanks, you know what I mean? But, so they said it was a real bummer. So at that point, Bridger, the little boy, he starts complaining again about the voices in his room. He calls them the bad boys. And he said it's a bunch of voices talking over one another. And like I said, he can't understand what they're saying. So at this point, Bridger is in the room with them, and Jamie and Ben, she's like, look, we can't live like this. I want to move. Now, Ben says, and again, he doesn't fight with her. I was just like, wow, this is really, like, nice. Because usually it's just like the dude, we can't afford to move. What are you talking about? You're crazy. But yeah, he's like, well, we can't move, while Tori is still, convalescing because she can't walk. But they're like, we can start looking now. And then when she's walking again, then we can move. So he does agree, doesn't argue with her or nothing like that. Now, at this point, Bridger's in bed with them, and they kind of go to sleep. Jamie feels something, like, flipping her hair. Like, she's laying like that on her side, and, like, something keeps going like that and flipping her hair in her face. And she turns around to Ben and is like, what the fuck? Like, quit doing that to my hair. And he's like, it's not me, to touch your fucking hair. And then, like, all hell breaks loose. Bed starts shaking, the lights start flashing, like, shit starts falling off the walls, all kind of stuff. So then they run downstairs, and he said they all sleep in the living room with Tori. She's like, I just wanted everybody in the same room because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So at that point, they call the Central Arkansas paranormal people, like investigator people. And they apparently look into the history of the house, and they said, yeah, the story about the boy falling out the window and dying, that's true. So it's possible that the boy's haunted the house. They also say that the house used to be like some kind. It was like a way station carriage house or like a train stop or something like that. It used to be something like that. And then for a time, it was like a hotel too. One of the psychics, because it's a whole team. They have like a researcher person and like an audiovisual person, and then like they have a mom and daughter psychic team, I guess. And they talk to both of them on the show. And so one of the psychics, the daughter, she sees the little boy, and she sees a shitload of other ghosts too. And she said they were super not happy about us being there. They were all like talking and stuff. And we just figured it was ghosts of people that had been passing through the house, because it was, like a way station type house back in the old days. But then she senses the evil presence and senses that like all the other ghosts are afraid of this thing, whatever the fuck it is. So then they do the Ouija board. And at this point, Ben is like, I don't really believe in Ouija boards. I thought this was a bunch of bullshit. But he's like, so I didn't let the paranormal team do it. It was just like him and the audiovisual guy. And it's like, you guys just stand over there and ask questions, and we'll do it so we can like make sure that we're not like moving it. So that's kind of that's what he did. So they do the Ouija board, and then the evil entity or whatever says that its name is Seth, and he says they asked, when were you alive? And he says never, implying that he's obviously a demon. And then they say like the planchette goes nuts. Now you have to be like really careful about this, because I noted that Jamie, when they interviewed her, she said the planchette went crazy, like going in figure eights. On the reenactment, they showed that it was doing it without anyone touching it, but she didn't specify that. She might have meant that they were sitting there with their hands on it and it started going crazy. But in the show, they showed like no one was touching it, and it was doing all that by itself. Yeah, so you really got to watch, because sometimes
watch how they word shit.
Well, and the thing about it too is that later on, when I read the article with Jamie Shea, she's like, I mean, some of the stuff she described they did show in the show, but she said some of the stuff they exaggerated, and some of the stuff like didn't happen. So I just thought that was interesting that she never said. She did say that the planchette went crazy, but she didn't say that no one was touching it. Yeah. It may have been no one was touching it, but she didn't say that.
I don't know if I buy it. I mean, you guys know my story. I saw one of the best poltergeist fucking cases I've ever heard of. The only thing be better be Enfield. There was all kinds of moving objects, but it was real hard to catch an object moving. You'd catch an object arriving, falling, bow. Sometimes you'd see something come flying in your direction, but one time we saw a glass slide, but that could have been the condensation on the bottom. Something thrown at you from a fucking direction where you weren't looking. Nobody there. We were trying to catch it actually moving something for a long period of time. You'd never catch it. Closest thing to me catching something moving was the rocking chair going back and forth with a stack of towels on it. But as soon as I saw that, I turned and ran. And Red was sitting there staring at it for probably about 3 seconds. But who knows, maybe it was just rocking because it had been pushed, so it was just residual energy. Yeah. Like something banged it. And it went like that. The ghost, I don't call it the poltergeist, banged it, and it was rocking back and forth. It seemed like whatever had it still had it. So that's the closest I've ever seen to something that's kind of like this planchette just moving around like that. In my experience, if you catch something moving, it's only going to be moving for a few seconds and then it stops.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell exactly what happened, Like when the remote flew,
Yeah.
We saw it fly and hit the ground and heard it. I didn't see it pick up, though.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I saw it when it was already airborne.
It was already moving, right.
Because like I said, I wasn't looking at it. Why would I?
Right. It was like that over and over again. And people have but poltergeist is different than haunting. People have commented in books and that I've read, and witnesses said that poltergeist seemed to have an amazing sense of timing. How could it have known you weren't looking at it at that particular second? My theory was it has to do with quantum physics. It can't move it while you're looking at it. It's got to be unobserved. And then it's free. It's in the same dimension that it's in, that the energy source is in, the poltergeist, and it moves it. And then it moves it into your field of vision. You see it, but by then it doesn't have a hold of it anymore. That's what it seemed like. But it's hard to tell, man. And I was a kid when I saw it, so it's just memory now, you know.
Yeah.
I'd like to explain it, though. It has something to do with quantum physics.
Yeah, so, all right. So the planchette, like I said, whether or not people were touching it, but apparently it was going crazy. And it pointed toward a camera because the paranormal team were there and had set up the cameras and shit like that. And allegedly, it pointed toward the camera, almost like, hey, look at that. And they said that they looked into the camera and they saw Seth, like the thing. Like they all saw it. Conveniently, they didn't show this video, if indeed it did record. So that might have been one of the things that she was talking about was exaggerated. I'm not really sure because obviously they're not.
The Haunting series is real good for this. They'll show you reenactments of the photos and reenactments of the video, but not the actual material.
Yeah,
which tells
that
me
was Paranormal Witness's bag.
Paranormal Witness did that.
Yeah,
but not a haunting, which led me to always believe that the photographs and the videos that they did have were too weak to
we're
show.
not that impressive.
Not that impressive.
Because if it was super impressive, you'd think they'd want to splash it all over the fucking place. Bleardo Dude says, if I was a ghost, I would play your video games while you're at work. Eat all your shit out of your fridge, shit like that. Because you could be a ghost and you could eat all you wanted and not get fat. But, yeah, so the psychics do a house cleansing with the sage and all that nonsense. And evidently they get rid of Seth. They kind of like go through the house chanting and burning the sage and blah, blah, blah. And then they supposedly drive him out of the house and they do like the circle assault around the house and all that
Seth
stuff.
is supposed to be the one who looks like a Grim Reaper.
Yeah, he's like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, yeah, I think maybe that's why this episode is like so well regarded is because of Seth. I think a lot of people like remember Seth being real scary.
Yeah, he looked like a Grim Reaper.
He does a little bit look like the Grim Reaper. You don't really see him all that good, but you know what I mean. So apparently, whatever it was that the psychics did worked. They drove Seth out, but they said they could let the other ghosts stay because they weren't hurting nothing. So apparently, several months go by with no activity. But then, one night, Bridger comes downstairs and starts talking in a weird-ass voice like he's possessed, like rah, 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 rah. And then he kind of like, his mom's like, what the fuck, kid? Like, smacking him and stuff. And then he wakes up and he can't remember how he got downstairs. Like, how did I get down here? Oh, my God. So at that point, like, it's starting to fuck with their kids. Jamie and Penn say, fuck this shit. And they run upstairs to get Tori, who by this point has completely recovered and she can walk again. And then apparently, at least according to the show, Jamie and Tori, and I think Jamie did say this, that they saw it in the hallway. They see another demon fella in the hallway, like while they're leaving. Now, she did say that she saw it in the hallway. I don't know if Tori did or not, but Jamie said she saw it. Turns out that even though this cleansing got rid of Seth, the place still has a portal or some shit, and I guess like the psychics didn't think to close it. So another demon wandered in, as they do. Yeah. So it's another demon.
Yeah.
So at this point, the Sheas nope out, and they rent an apartment, and they put the house up for sale. Yeah. Now another family moves in, renting, but I think they don't stay all that long. Now that's the end of the show, but I found out later that after renting the house to 3 different families, none of whom stayed very long, the Sheas actually in late 2007 moved back to that original house because they had to for financial reasons. Okay. They were just like, we couldn't sell it and we couldn't get a renter to stay. So they had to move back to it. Okay. They had actually moved out of state. They actually moved to Joplin, Missouri for a little while, and rented the house out. But they said we couldn't get anybody to buy it and we couldn't get anybody to rent it. So they actually moved back to it. I don't know if they still live there now because that was a long time ago, but they did actually move back to that original house. So now I found something, like I said, that Jamie Shea wrote back in 2007, like right after the story aired on A Haunting for the first time. She basically said this is something that she wrote to one of the paranormal investigators, and she said this is actually her writing what she experienced in the house. She said, we hear footsteps up and down the stairs at all hours of the night, a ball bouncing at 2 a.m. when everyone is asleep. We hear a baby crying in an unplugged baby monitor. The doorbell goes off at random times during the day. Hey, I've had that happen, yeah. My good-natured dog barks ferociously at the air. This one didn't have a dog on it, again, just like the last one. Now, they didn't show this on the show. My husband and babysitter saw the tail end of a Victorian-type dress float up the stairs. My middle son has night terrors and reports hearing voices that keep him up at night. A thin mist of smoke has been spotted in the kitchen by both my brother and me. At night, when I'm just falling asleep, I feel a small hand stroking my hair and footsteps running around my bed. My husband and I heard pounding on the wall above the head of our bed just last night. Doors slam, cabinets creep open, batteries drain in minutes. I thought you'd find this interesting. At least twice a week, I find dimes stuffed in my shoes and in my bed.
Okay.
I know it sounds funny, but it's freaking us out. Yeah. She says, I probably should mention that our home was built in the 1800s, was the original stagecoach stop in Lamar, and is rumored to have been a speakeasy and maybe a jail at one time. There's a Confederate Civil War cemetery on our land about 200 yards to the back side of our house, and an old thick rock building that historians say was the original kitchen. So she wrote that in 2007, and she also writes a little bit about, we just completed 12 hours of interviews. This was when they were recording for a haunting, telling and retelling our events to the director of the Discovery Channel series. They sat in there, they were in Joplin, Missouri, like I said. They said, it took 12 hours. And then she said, in a strange way, I missed that house. And then May 15th, 2007, she writes, the third set of renters have officially moved out of our Lamar house. The listing on our home expired with not even a good bite from a potential buyer. Renovations are nearly complete. I want my house back. This time, we will only put good vibes into this house. We'll rely on God for comfort and protection. We will make it work. Financially, we have no choice. So September 18th, 2007, they moved back in. And she said it's been
a long time ago now.
Yeah, she said it's been quiet for the most part, except for the occasional stomp, bounce, creak, thump, and the episodic blasts of unexplained musical scores from the next room. Life is pretty normal.
So you just hear a musical score coming from the next room.
Yeah.
What style of music is it?
I don't know. She didn't say. And like I said, there was also an article in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, which came out right around Halloween of 2007, I think. And I'm rereading it again to see if there was anything else interesting that wasn't mentioned earlier. This was actually written by somebody that went there and did like a ghost hunt and also interviewed Jamie Shea. They were talking about how active the place was. She says, according to Shea and the ghost hunter, many of the events depicted on the show were exaggerated or never happened at all.
Okay.
She said she would turn around and see the kitchen cabinets open for no reason. She said that happened on multiple occasions. Yeah. She did see the reflection of a figure on her computer screen, so that was true. She said she had Bridger come downstairs. Now, on the show, they just kind of showed him going, rah, rah, rah. But like she says, he came down into trance and was laughing maniacally at her, which, again, that would probably freak you out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She said she's captured... Now, this is the ghost hunter talking. She says she's captured mist-like forms on camera and is heard booming like someone walking around upstairs. She said she was lying on the couch one night and heard someone murmuring in her ear. So there's that. It says many records about the house were destroyed when the local library burned down. Others are still held by the family that owned the house for several generations. Had been a stagecoach stop, a saloon, and a jail. And a little boy did fall out of the upstairs window and the Civil War cemetery behind the house. And the ghost hunter said while she was there and interviewing Jamie Shea, said she was interviewing her at the kitchen table and they turned around and one of the cabinet doors was open. Yeah. So there's that. So let's see. I think that might be... somebody said, too, that they saw like a weird three-dimensional shadow. A three-dimensional shadow sort of floating below the ceiling. Made a sweeping outward motion on both sides as if to create the shape of shoulders, and it quickly disappeared back into the ceiling.
Okay.
So that's something else.
Everything that the phenomenon that they're describing actually is consistent with poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be a poltergeist focus. In other words, there doesn't seem to be a kid in there or a disturbed person, because usually it's about psychic disturbances. And it's changed hands. Now, the other people that lived there, did they report this? They didn't live there long, but did they report it?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, I couldn't determine that. Like, basically all she said was we had 3 renters like in it seemed like less than a year, which would suggest yeah, which would suggest that there was either something wrong with that, like the house was haunted, or there was something physically wrong with the house, or there was something wrong with the people. So I don't really know.
I'd have to go in there myself and look at it, man.
Like I said, I don't know if they still live there, because like that was a long time ago that they wrote this, and I couldn't really find anything more recent than that. She didn't write a book or anything like that. Like I said, we had a lot more info about Dark Wrath because that lady wrote a book, but this one didn't have a book written about it or anything. And I don't think that house is particularly famous, other than, you know, it being on a haunting. So they did write an article about it like around Halloween one year, but that was around the same time as the haunting episode came out. Yeah. So it doesn't really seem, I couldn't find anything like newer than that. If somebody can, then let me know. I mean, they use their real names on the show. Yeah. It's Jamie Shea, and it's Jaime, which is the same way my cousin spells it, Shea, and the husband's name is Ben. And they used all their, and like I said, it's Lamar, Arkansas. I don't know what the address is, but it's definitely in Lamar, Arkansas. So if you know, you could probably find it.
The physical phenomenon that they describe, stacking the coins, you know what I mean? The three-dimensional kind of shapes and not figures, but, you know, blobs or balls or mists and shit.
Ghost balls.
Things moving, sounds, phantom sounds, crashing, booming, music. That's interesting. Fucking murmuring voices. That doesn't necessarily mean haunting. You know, that can also mean poltergeist, which is RSPK, recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis. It's usually from an unknowing focus that's doing it. Their kind of nightmare dream world is acting out in a recurrently and spontaneously. Their subconscious minds kind of making phenomenon that's very ghostly, but it's coming from within. It's someone who is strong with the dark side of the Force, for the Star Wars terms. Now, Steve said that Steve Mara, Jenny's written some books with him, and he's been on a few times.
Yeah, he's a parapsychologist.
He's a British parapsychologist we've worked with. He said that there are some haunting cases that he's looked at that kind of merge. They're kind of halfway in between haunting and poltergeist. In other words, the phenomenon is very physical. It does things. It moves things. It makes noises. There's apparitions. But there is some kind of a disembodied spirit, per se. Sometimes it seems to be many of them. But, you know, this is all theoretical. Nobody's gotten down to the bottom of it. I had a near-death experience and an out-of-body experience, too. When I was out-of-body, it was weird. You know, it was like I was in a slightly offset into a slightly different dimension where I could see the room, but everything was just colors, like energy. There was another guy in the room with me. He just looked like a black shadow kind of blotting out the background. I could see him moving, but he wasn't defined he wasn't even a humanoid shape. He was just a cloud. I was aware of that far away from me, kind of like in lower energy dimensions and in higher energy dimensions. This shit sounds fucking hokey as shit, me saying it. I sound airy-fairy, kind of like a hippie sound and shit. But kind of like I was aware that in other frequencies that there were other things that were alive, or kind of alive, but I didn't see them. So things that had never lived, at least in material world. So like, I guess you could say, for the want of a better word, be like angelic beings. We were real old and wise. I could kind of feel their existence, like through kind of like an internet, you hook up with it. Your awareness is a lot different when you're having an out of body experience. And I was aware that in higher realms they were kind of like angelic beings, and in lower energy, slower, colder realms they were kind of things that demons, but not in the way of that you would think of them. They were not intelligent, sentient, or fully sentient, fully formed beings that were well-rounded. They were like a fragment of somebody's bad mood running around. They were kind of like the insects or the cockroaches of the spiritual world. They weren't
spiritual
aware.
cockroaches.
They're like a cockroach.
That sounds like a good band name.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this idea of some kind of a demon or a ghost like a Grim Reaper and a bunch of angry people infesting, coming through a portal in another dimension and infesting a house, doesn't really jive up with what I personally saw in an out-of-body experience. It might seem like that's what it is, but to a person who's in this dimension, but probably more likely what it is that there is some stuff in the lower planes of existence, I guess would be a good way to describe it. There are some things bleeding over in that area, because that area, if to use like Star Wars terminology, that area is strong with the dark side. Maybe something bad happened there. So bad energies can these bad little insect things that I'm telling you about can kind of make themselves known. But they're not full-formed people from what I experienced. They're fragments of people, or fragments of things, or fragments of things that happened in the past. Kind of like in The Shining. Remember how Mr. Halloran says bad things happen and it can leave behind traces of itself like burned toast? That's what we're talking about. The ghosts of those people aren't there. They've moved on. But pieces of what happened to them might be still around. That fits in more with the kind of dimension that I saw briefly. That's probably what it is. Just this place that was strong with the dark side. If you go in there, you might see things that happened in the past, or things, those little cockroaches running around appear, and do things and say things and make noises, but that's all it is. There isn't any more to it. It's like an echo of the past, a fragment. That's probably what it is. I'd like to go and look at it though, see if anything happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good episode. This is a creepy episode. I don't know if I believe it or not, but I don't know if I really
have to go yourself.
I don't know if I really believe any of these, but they are fun and entertaining to watch.
This
and like I said, the people on there, because sometimes, I don't know, like every now and then, sometimes you get like some of the shows where I'm not entirely sure I believe the people, because I think maybe they've got some problems. But these people seemed pretty normal, and they seemed to believe what they were saying. Yeah. So
I experienced what I experienced. You've seen some of the stuff that I experienced. I interpreted it the way that I interpreted it. It made sense to me the way I rationalize it. But I may be wrong.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just going, it's just feeling, And when you have an out-of-body experience, it's not dreamlike, it's hyper-realism, but it's like a virtual reality type of situation. With the dimension isn't that stable. I mean, you just look at a place and you go there. You just look, it's hard to even stay still. And you're kind of non-local. You can be in two places at once, which is, we didn't evolve to be that way. You know what I mean? We evolved to be in a body. You're used to that, It's weird. So, to use language that you guys might understand, the spirit world does not play by normal physical rules or laws of nature, like time, space, or mass energy. It's different. It's more like just information and points of view and perspective. So, yeah, something like this theoretically, based on what I saw, could happen. It's just that it's more like an illusion. It did happen. You are hearing that. But those people aren't there. It's just traces of some things from the past.
Guamo-kun says, classic, this matinee has so much classic 13 o'clock energy. LMAO. We're talking about The Shining, Steve Mera, and A Haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? We're going back to the roots, man.
Going back to the roots of the show.
Well, I don't know why, but like when I read the thing in this woman's diary thing about the dimes, like finding dimes in her shoes and in the bed and stuff. I don't know why that stuck with me. I guess because of
you've seen it happen to me.
Well, because of the shit that happened to you, like with the towels at the Mammoth Mountain place, and also when we had the shit flying, like the remote flying around, we also had like that stack of coins that showed up by your foot.
I stood up, my hair was fucking standing up. I had hair then,
and I just thought that was kind of funny.
And they're looking. You gonna be all right, Tom? Do it again. Do it again. Dimitri's telling me to do it again. And I looked down at my feet, and at the front of my right toe is a stack of coins that high.
That had not been there before.
They weren't there, and they were from the bedroom. It's because I said it should do something like make me rich, bring me some money. It did bring me money. It brought me my own money.
Well, it's like that wasn't exactly what I meant, but thanks anyway. Bring me like some big stacks of cash.
Yeah,
is what I meant.
Just bring you a stack of coin.
Probably. It's like, geez,
your money. Here's your money.
It's like, yeah, thanks. I already had that.
But that was during a weird time. Remember, they had the damn garage door open in the middle of the night. Doorbell rang in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Well, I said
inner garage door opening.
That was the weirdest thing about
that never happened.
Well, because the thing about it was like the garage door opening. I mean, you could conceivably explain that away because I know, like, so you know, we had the garage door opener, and it's like I know other people have them, and they're on that frequency, and you can go around opening other people's garage doors theoretically. But when that happened one night, and I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. The garage door opened, and then we were like, what the fuck, because it's loud. Yeah. And so this was at the old house, by the way. And so then we go out, and there was, like, in the laundry room, like, so there's a door into the garage. And when we were going to check on it, the door from the laundry room to the garage went... like, by itself. And I was like, what the fuck? That door does not do that. That door wouldn't stay open, actually. Right. It didn't open that way.
And that was more recent stuff. That was nothing compared to when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was a lot more intense. That'd be happening every few minutes when I was really on a roll. And then in that same time, I got up that one morning and saw Bezier standing in the middle of the living room looking out the back like, what the fuck? And I look and see what she's looking at. And the back door's wide open.
The back patio door was open.
Back patio door was wide open. Was that we never opened that because there was like 4 doors right there.
Well, and
it was wide open, and the deadbolt was still engaged. And I'm like, how long's that been open? And the air conditioner was going, and it was cool, so it had to have been seconds. That it was only open.
Well, I saw it. Well, the reason that you got up and saw it was because I saw it when I got up to go to work.
Oh, is that what it was? And you said, what's that doing?
I got up to go to work, and Beijing was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, because I saw it, I was like, we never, ever opened that patio door, ever. I think the only time we opened it was when we were painting that room or something like that. That was the only time or when we were moving something. We never opened that. And like I said, the deadbolt was still like that far out, and I was like, "There's just no way." And so, Beijing was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Right?" I was like, "What the fuck?" So then I think I came and woke you up, and I was like, "Why is this fucking door open? Did you leave this open?"
It's weird. Yeah, and then like sometime later, I guess it was a few weeks later, I was fucking cooking or getting ready to cook, and I just turned my back on the stove and stepped away. I was getting pissed off over something, and boom, bow, big crash. And behind me, I mean, just inches, it threw 3 wooden statues of horses down, and that was like a 7 foot out and 6 foot down, probably from where they. So I don't know how they got that far away. They didn't fall; they were thrown. And then about a 7 or 8 foot long piece of little weak wooden molding that was the trim that on the top of the damn cabinets. That was pulled off in a single stroke, and the nails were still in it, and they were twisted. I had to straighten all the nails out and put it back up there. And I don't know how the hell it pulled that thing off. It went ping, ting, ting. I don't know how it pulled that thing off so fast without breaking it, because it was just flimsy wooden molding that you
pretty weird.
Put in there with tacks, and it pulled it out in a single fucking stroke, pow, and threw it down at me with the I had to fucking go back and look at that and go, I had to kind of go into denial, like, nah, that didn't happen. That must have been the air conditioner because there's a vent near it. No, man, those little nails, they were like the little wood nails. They were like tacks, like the long, skinny wood nails for trim. They're almost like the size of a needle. There was about 8 of them in that piece of wood. There's no way you could have pulled that out. And they were bent. They weren't even straight. They were bent.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Well, other day at this house, you made my deep red poster fall off the wall.
Yeah. This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it back up. I put it in a different spot.
That's weird. I
scooched it over a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you made that fall.
I can do weird shit sometimes.
Because you were getting
if
mad.
I get pissed, then I fucking... And what's funny is it won't break it. Very rarely has it broken anything.
Well, that's
It'll
good.
just throw it at you. It didn't even really break those wooden statues. And they had little spindly legs on them. It didn't break them. I don't know how they hit without breaking.
Yeah, because that was a long way. They were way up by the ceiling.
Yeah. Whatever has it has a hold of it until it hits the ground. And it was fucking loud, man. It sounded louder than normal when it all fucking
Yeah, see, I
came
didn't
down.
see that. I was at work.
Yeah, you weren't at home.
I was at work when that
Yeah.
happened. He just told me about it.
Yeah,
I did see the bent up nails and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to kind of go into, that didn't really happen. I had to go into that mode.
Nope.
Yeah.
He noped out.
What happened here recently, remember I was looking for, was it the motorcycle key?
Yeah.
And
That was at the old house.
No, it was here.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was in the little man cave. I was looking for something. And I think it was a motorcycle key. You guys remember what it was. I think it was a motorcycle key jumped off at me. Off the table.
Oh, that's right. I thought you were talking about...
It wasn't with the tables.
I thought you were talking about at the old house like several months ago when you lost the motorcycle key for a really, really long time.
Yeah, and it looked back and the cat had it. Oh, that fucking freaked me out.
Well, see, you'd been looking for it for days.
Days.
We looked everywhere.
For the fucking motorcycle
washing machine, dryer. We pulled all the clothes out. We pulled all the pockets out. We looked through all the laundry. We looked through everything.
Looked for this.
We couldn't find it, and then he's like, fuck it.
It was a Buell motorcycle key with a damn blue rubber pad on it.
And he's like, and he finally, we had looked at it. I think it was maybe like 4 or 5 days. We had looked for it, and I'm like, I have no fucking idea where that thing went. We looked everywhere, and he was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna order another one.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting at the end of the bed watching TV, and he looked down at Pookie.
When I was wrestling with Pookie.
Yeah.
I was wrestling with Pookie, and I looked up at TV, and then as I looked down, I saw her catch something like that, and she's biting it like that, and I look, and she
had the key. In her hands, in her paw.
Man. I was like, "What the fuck?
Where did that come from?"
Like
because she was biting it. It's rubber. Yeah. She likes to chew on rubber.
It's like it. I didn't see it happen. I guess it's like it materialized out of thin air and dropped on her.
She was like, "Ooh, toy for me."
I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Her grabbed something and then started
chewing on it.
Yeah, and then started chewing on it because it's rubber.
Yeah,
she's chewing it, kicking it with her back legs. Yeah.
She wasn't upset at all. She was just like, "Ooh."
My hair stood up.
A toy appeared.
It got me. It got me. And I ran in there and showed it to Jenny.
I mean, we
turned that place upside down.
had torn that fucking house up looking for that shit.
Looking for that Buell key.
And it was only when you said, fuck it, I'm ordering a spare.
They gave it back.
Then it gave it back. Well, they gave it to Pookie.
Yeah, I gave it to Pookie. It's funny.
Oracle said, I'm not surprised. Pookie is amazing after all.
Yeah.
She manifested the key.
Yeah.
All right, so we've been going more than an hour. Like I said, we've been going on longer than the actual episode.
Yeah.
But that's how we do. That's how we do when we start talking about a haunting. You know what I mean? We have a lot of fun with those. So if anybody has any... Ooh, somebody's going by on a motorcycle or something.
Harley.
Yeah, it's somebody's our neighbor. If anybody has any recommendations for what episode we should do next Monday, let me know. If you don't have time to do it now, then maybe send me a message on Facebook or in one of the comments on the other videos or something like that. I mean, if nobody comes up with one, we'll just find one. But preferably the first 4 or 5 seasons, because those are the ones we like the most. But if you like one of the later ones, then let us know. I think we have seasons 1 through
hold on.
6 or 7.
Blair just says he's tried to astrally project for years and just gave up. That's the problem. Don't try. You have to stop all thinking and just allow. It's hard, man. And when you know that it's hard, it fucks you up. You have to believe that it's easy, and you have to basically will yourself to die. You just stop everything. Try to stop all thinking and just relax, and just allow it to happen. Trying reinstitutes will and consciousness, so that stops it. You have to just let go of everything. You can't have any fear because it's going to be basically death. And you'll feel like you're pulled up, like you're being pulled up into a higher realm, like you want to gravitate up to where those angelic beings are. It's how it felt. Don't do it. You probably won't come back.
Don't do it.
Okay. But and when you first come out, you'll look down at yourself. You won't be able to stand still. You'll be all over the place. And if you just think of something, you'll appear over there. And then you freak out. You'll vanish and you wake up back in the body.
Guamacun says hashtag bring back the "Where is that raccoon" soundbite.
Yeah. Where's that raccoon?
Oh, you know what? I should do like a GIF if I can find it, and then I can like put it in the show. Like if I ever remember, if we ever say something that merits that. I don't want to overdo it, but I feel like we should probably have it.
Yeah.
So I can put it in here and like pop it out when the time comes. Where is that raccoon?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Now I want a shirt that just says where is that? Hell House.
House.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that.
We have that one.
I think we have that one.
It's the one with the clown, right?
Is that the one with the clown? See, like I said, the titles are so generic that I can't remember. But yeah, so we might end up doing that one. So we'll see next
hungry
Monday.
again?
Yeah, probably.
All right.
So I think tomorrow we're gonna do another matinee. We'll probably do. Do you want to do Death Machine?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we don't have to. I said I think it's free on Vudu, or I think it's like $2.99 or $3.99 to rent it on Amazon Prime. Because you were saying when we watched Split Second that you kind of wanted to watch Death Machine. Yeah. So I don't know. Or if you change your mind, so maybe it'll be Death Machine, maybe it'll be something else. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so we will see you guys again tomorrow talking about another movie. Thanks for dropping by this afternoon, and we'll see you later.